We are here from the show floor with Botaniline. Mark, you are the CEO of this company.
I am.
And tell us everything.
Everything. Botaniline is a unique science.
Okay.
It's all plant-based, so the world is looking for plant-based alternatives, looking for clean labeling, looking for green technology, sustainability. We can help eliminate greenhouse gases. So we're the complete package, and we're less expensive than the meat that we use with it.
Wait, you guys do all of that, and you're less expensive?
Guaranteed.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
All
And I
right.
can explain how in just a minute.
I want to know everything.
Okay. Amanda, first of all, our food scientist, Dean O'Brien, and I and our other partners, we have basically taken on an international crisis. Everybody, except third world countries, are eating far too much salt and far too much saturated fats.
Yep.
There isn't an organization in the world that isn't concerned about the consumption of sodium intake and saturated fats. It creates heart disease, diabetes, early onset kidney disease, obesity in children as well as adults. It's just a combination of illness. So
That's why we have those strict guidelines in K-12 to
Exactly.
minimize saturated fat, and
So-
we have so many sodium requirements.
well, wait till you see.
All right.
We know that consumers are demanding healthier alternatives, sustainability, and plant-based options. Our mission, Botaniline, is to correct the health status and well-being of the world, starting with New York State schools, nursing homes, hospitals, the U.S. military, Meals on Wheels, but recognizing that we can accomplish all of those things that I promised you,
Yeah.
Marlon, and still stay within state and federal and global initiatives, including the cooperation we get from the Cornell Cooperative Extension and the Farm to School Initiative in New York State.
No, go ahead, you're fine.
Oh,
I was going to say something, but no. Sorry.
you know, while this is the School Nutrition Association, we recognize that our science benefits everybody.
Yeah.
So we are focused on K through 12, colleges, universities, hospitals, long-term care where health is already an issue, government agency, correctional facilities, prisons, U.S. military, as well as somebody asked earlier whether or not it's available on the retail market. It is, and food service distributors and food service management companies, like the large management companies that are out there.
So, Mark, I'm confused. So, you guys are Botaniline. Do you represent the actual products that you are bringing down the sodium in? Or is it just the science?
It's the science and the way the ingredient is processed.
Ah,
Think of a potato as a unsolved Rubik cube, okay? It's got all these colors, all these dynamics, and it's all based on these. If these were all different colors and that mosaic, what we do is subject this to an algorithm of controlling temperature and time at those temperatures to create a solved cube. Once that cube has reached the chemical structure that we need to do its work, then we isolate it, we freeze it, and then it is shipped to any manufacturer. And Amanda, I think this goes back to your question. We can work with any of the large manufacturers in the world. We are currently being tested in Germany, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Mexico, as well as the United States.
amazing.
So what work is the potato actually doing?
Have you seen these slides before?
I have not.
Okay,
I'm super interested.
Marla, you are spot on.
He's a nerd. Yeah,
I
he
am a
likes
nerd.
I
it.
just did this morning. I don't know.
I'm in your head.
All right. What it does, if you think of seasoning a steak before you put it on the grill or a frying pan,
Okay.
and you season it with salt and pepper, maybe some garlic powder, but the salt, once you taste or touch that steak, it becomes sticky. It becomes a little tactile.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
that's
is-
tacky. I hate that.
Well, that's the salt extracting protein from the muscle. Now, you want that because that tackiness creates a glue, a natural food glue, but it's sodium. We do that without sodium. The potato in that mosaic, in that newly configured chemistry, extracts the protein where we don't need sodium. It's a catalyst for creating the bind and holding these products together. And it's a peptide, and you'll see that it actually swells in holding all the moistures, the oils, the fluids, and the flavors.
That is crazy.
And we typically put in about 10% of our potato, sometimes 20, sometimes 15%, depending on the recipe and depending on what the consumers' or customers' objectives are. And we can work with any manufacturer in the world.
So what you're saying is there's potato in all these different meat items.
10%, 20%, 15%, 10%.
Really?
Yes. And that's where the
Crazy.
cost savings comes in. Because if you take beef, which can be very expensive,
Yeah.
or pork can be expensive, and you take that 10% away, it's expensive. You set that aside. Now you put in the modified potato,
Yeah.
and it's less expensive than the meat, so you're going to save on that 10%.
I get it. I get it.
And we pass
Okay.
that savings on to the schools,
Hey.
not the manufacturer.
They
make enough money.
We love savings.
Yeah. So that's what we do. It's independently scientifically proven from a third party. We didn't pay for this study.
No.
Happened to come out of the University of Guelph in Guelph, Ontario. The PhD, Dr. Borer, has now joined Ohio State University Department of Food Science, and they'll be redoing all the testing for second or third opinion.
So what are all the dots mean? Tell me.
This is the algorithm. This is controlling temperature and time in minutes. And if you are too high in the temperature and too short in the time,
Yeah.
it won't work. You have to get to this exact moment in here. That solves that Rubik's Cube. Once all 6 sides are aligned, that's when we isolate it, and that's when it's introduced in a frozen state to the meat block.
I get it.
My mind is blown.
I never
I
would
hope
have
you can
thought
try
about
it.
that. I mean, it makes sense. I'm glad you figured it out because I wasn't going to.
It was Dean O'Brien, our food scientist, figured it out. But I think it was Albert Einstein who said, genius is taking the complex and making it simple. And this is simple.
Yeah. What was your main motivation to come up with this solution? Like why?
Children.
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 Okay.
My legacy is if I can save one child from obesity. I recently found out, maybe in the last 3 or 4 years, that children are on hypertension drugs. That just blew me away. I mean, it's sad.
Yeah.
And the obesity, the early onset diabetes. My background's in healthcare, so I'm concerned about the elderly.
Yes.
I'm getting there myself. But I also know that a good diet is good medicine.
Yeah.
And that was our motivation.
Okay.
I get
like
it.
Yeah.
Now, the results of all of that, all of everything I've told you, is we drop calories precipitously, and I'll explain a national product versus ours.
Okay.
We lower saturated fat and trans fats. We dramatically lower sodium, cholesterol, and all chemical additives and chemical binding products.
Just out of curiosity, with all the cool science that you guys put into your different products here, does it affect protein in any sort of way?
That's a great question. In this example, I know you can't see it on the video, but this is a national brand. I'm not going to mention their name, and it's not on there. Nice try.
I wonder if I could figure it out.
I don't think you can. Well, you could if you called the Buffalo Public Schools. This product that Amanda's looking at, the national brand,
Yeah.
they're a great company, but they don't have to be serving the product that they have been serving around the country. If they were to use our science technology, their sodium per link, this is an actual Buffalo Public School hot dog.
Wow.
The sodium,
As you're talking, can I try this, please? Thank you.
Amanda, if you game.
I'm just looking. I
So the
just looking at
sodium
the
dropped
sodium
from
differences.
540 milligrams, and what you're tasting is 360. The calories were 170, and it dropped to 110.
Wow.
I'm going to taste this again because that was good.
It is really good.
And the protein increased?
The protein increased. Why? Because we took out all the unnecessary chemicals.
Right. So there was the
so-
same amount of
we
protein,
took
but
out-
comparatively to that makes complete sense. Yep.
We took out hydrolyzed beef stock. Anything hydrolyzed
Yep.
metabolizes into monosodium glutamate. A lot of people have allergies to it.
Oh.
That's a mouthful.
Don't get me started on the meatless options. Modified cornstarch is unnecessary. Sodium is unnecessary. Potassium lactate is unnecessary. Sorbitol gives children a feeling of bloating, and it doesn't digest well in the.
And look at the ingredient list is
Yeah, that's it.
so much shorter. I mean, I can say almost all of these words, and I mean,
Sodium
can't-
diacetate is a preservative.
Wow.
It's a chemically modified vinegar. But because it's chemically modified, the USDA requires it to be labeled as its actual name, sodium diacetate. We use DV powder.
That's really good.
And it gets labeled as vinegar. So when we talk about clean labeling, everything we are striving to do is consumer friendly and addresses their need to comprehend what it is they're serving their children.
Okay.
Now, so we do preserve the protein, to answer your question. Hospitals and schools are particularly interested in crumbles because they use it a lot on their pizza toppings, chili, tacos, and sloppy joes.
Okay.
So we have a much healthier, much less expensive crumble. National fast food restaurants have hamburger patties that are typically in the 300, 400, 500 milligram of sodium range.
Makes sense.
And this has 26.
But does it taste good?
I'll let you know.
It's been a few minutes since that's been cooked, but it was cooked fresh.
But that hot dog is delicious. And I can't, I don't understand how it can taste that good and have the sodium that I'm seeing on this nutritional label. It is truly amazing.
Let me get to the showstopper.
What is it?
I'm just going to dive in. That was good.
It's Italian sausage.
Italian sausage.
Now, great companies out there.
Yes.
You know them. They do bratwurst, they do knockwurst, they do Italian, they do Polish, they do
all the things.
Chorizo, you name it. The national brands, from Syracuse to Wisconsin to California to Chicago, the national brands have typically from 600 to 800 milligrams of sodium for a 4-ounce link. This is a 4-ounce link. And this I'll explain the peptide. This has 40 milligrams of sodium. Do you miss it? Do you miss the sodium at all? No.
No, you don't.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But our results, that earlier slide, and the chemistry and chemicals that can come out of products. And that's our goal as well. This is a blow-up of this, what you were looking at. This is the national brand with 170 calories versus 110. So what you were eating is phenomenally healthier without these 5 chemical additives. We have a brochure that we can send electronically. There are 20 product items in here. We have a brochure that we can send electronically outlining programs.
You're going to have to close the show because I'm going in for more.
Well, I have to say, thank you so much for coming on the show. You blew my mind. You blew my taste buds. I can't believe that's made out of peas and this has potatoes in it. The science that you guys implemented into all of this is just phenomenal. So you were here from the show floor with Botaniline.